Alright, so this is Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, and this is the game that my younger brothers got jammed inside of their DS. I ended up fixing that, reshelling it. I may just post some photos of that. I did get some videotaping, like some video of me fixing it and reshelling it, but I just had to do it really quickly so I could get it to them. So I might post some photos of the final product. It works fine. It looks a lot cleaner than it used to, but this is a great game, and from the looks of it, you couldn't tell, but they love playing this game, so I want to fix it up for them so they can continue to play it. But I'm pretty sure this is the dirtiest Nintendo DS game ever. If you can see, there's corrosion on the contact points. There's a caked up crust, which I think is toothpaste. I'm fairly sure it's toothpaste. But it's all over, and it's corroded the contact points, so that's I'm a little unsure of. And if you don't know, you can take apart a DS game, but then you're gonna have to get a 3D printed shell, or you're gonna have to buy a replacement one, because after you take it apart, you can't put it back together. So I'm gonna do my best to clean it as is, and I'll test it in my custom DS that I built, and yeah, we'll see. And if you can see what's over here too, I'm gonna get to this really soon. Maybe after I clean this up, but I am going to install a funny playing IPS screen upgrade on my Game Boy Advance, along with a couple other things like a reshell. But I bought a new case for it too. So I tried to get this off, but there was some Sharpie on it, but it looks fine. But yeah, back to this. So I'm gonna clean this just with some water, distilled water, isopropyl. For this, I'm gonna probably use 91% rather than 70, just because the amount of corrosion on these contact points, I do not want them to get any more corroded than they already are. So yeah, let's start with it. I'm gonna start by just using this like prying tool to maybe scrape some of it off, because it's so caked up. Yeah. It's pretty bad. And when it gets in between the contact points, and those are so thin that it's really hard to really clean in between those, but it's possible. Removing this from the DS was really difficult. There's actually some marks up here at the top, and I had to use a small pliers to grab onto it and pull it out, because it just wouldn't come out otherwise. It took a lot of force to get it out, but it eventually gave way. So, and then for the smaller parts, I'm gonna use this little tweezers just to get the smaller in between the contact points. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this is toothpaste. I'm not gonna taste it, so I don't know for sure. But it looks very toothpastey. Let me know what you think this is. Jeez, yeah. Anybody know about those weird mods, or not even mods, like those speedrun hacks where if you put your console on like a cooking stove, or like put toothpaste in the disc reader, it allows you to like run through way faster? Well, don't try doing that with the DS game. It doesn't work. And what I mean by that is, like, I guess for some older consoles, if you there's like some really weird speedrun hacks that I've heard of, where people, like I said, yeah, like they put their console on the stove and it heats it up, or they like put jelly or peanut butter in the card reader or the disc reader, and just something weird happens where it plays faster. Toothpaste does not make Lego Star Wars a speedrun for the DS. Jeez. So it's looking pretty gnarly right now. I'm gonna do my best to get this to read again, but geez, yeah. If I ever find it in this condition again, there probably will not be a second video of me cleaning it. And this stuff that is coming off of it, I think it's toothpaste, but there's some parts on it that are blue, some are white. I really don't know. I don't even know if I should be touching it, to be honest. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna clean this up. Yeah, place in the comments what you think this stuff is. It's a bluish white stuff. I don't know. Should I smell it? I'm gonna smell it. I don't know what that smells like. It smells maybe like it could be minty, but I really don't know. It doesn't have much of a smell. Try and do my best to get that all off the pad. All right. All right. So now I'm gonna start getting into it and trying to clean off the smaller spots on it. Gonna fill some water into the cap. That should be enough. For the back, I'm just gonna use water, and then for the contact points, I'm gonna use the isopropyl. One thing I learned kind of the hard way is for the Nintendo serial code on the back of these game cards, if you use 91% isopropyl or acetone, don't use acetone. That'll actually probably mess up the plastic even. But the isopropyl, it erases the serial code right there. So I clean the back of these with water now, because I've erased like 3 of those serial codes, and it took me that many times to learn. But it cleans it really well. I can say that much. But water will clean it just as good. Especially if there's some toothpaste on the back, that'll really scrub it down. And there's the torn logo. Before I return it to them, I might print off a sticker or something, get some double-sided tape and make it look a little better. Maybe sand up this part. Maybe put a little bit of. Just sand it up, really. I don't think I can do too much with that because I'm not gonna replace the card if I don't have to, but hopefully I can clear off all that. We'll find out, but try and make this a little bit prettier, do it before and after. But my main goal right now is just getting this to read, because it is, if you can see all those little green areas where it's kind of greenish blue, that's all oxidation on the contacts. That's kind of worst case scenario with a DS game. Alright. I'll just clean off all the other edges. Yeah, I'm definitely going to remove this front sticker and try and clean that stuff up too. And this is such a great game too. It'd be a really big bummer if I couldn't get it to work. I used to play this when I was younger. I still play it. I actually recently did a run through. I played Lego Star Wars 1 and 2, the Game Boy one, the Game Boy version for Advance, and I haven't got to 3 in the complete saga on the DS quite yet, but I love the complete saga. It's probably the best one. Alright. Gonna see if I can get some more of this gunk out. Jeez, it is really in there. For the DS that actually had all the toothpaste in it, this is the old game card reader. I took this thing apart. I cleaned it backwards, inside and out. I took it apart, and after thorough cleaning, soldering it, desoldering it, soldering it, desoldering it because it didn't work. After I desoldered it a second time, one of the pins fell out of it. I didn't feel like taking it apart again, and like I put a lot of work into this, but it just would not read, and the contact point readers on it were too corroded. I thought maybe if I sanded the very tips of it down just slightly, which is actually this point right here. Just the very tip. I don't know, point to it with these, if I can get it to focus. Yeah, right up here, that little bend where it curves a little bit, that's where it reads the games, right here. And I don't have anything that can sand that, so I bought a replacement. I put that in their DS. It reads games perfectly, so I might just keep this for extra parts, because the outer shell for it's in good condition, the plastic parts, and then also the section over here where the mechanism that allows where the spring mechanism is, all that stuff works fine. So this could be some good spare parts in the future for a different game reader, because they are cheap, but it's good to have a couple spare parts on hand. And I'm hoping that the contacts on here aren't that corroded, because I don't know if I would be willing to take this apart just to fix it, and then I could show you guys what it looks like inside of a DS game, but it's really nothing interesting. I think I've posted Game Boy, like cleaning a Game Boy game cartridge, but it's basically like a Game Boy Advance cartridge. But a lot smaller. It's nothing too interesting. I like how the Game Boy Advance cartridges, there's a little screw on it, you know, you can take it apart. I do clean them. I think they originally did that because they did have the save batteries in there, or like the real-time clock or something, you know, so they had it so you could take it apart and replace those little C-cell batteries, but the DS did not need those save batteries, so they just closed the thing up and made it very small and very, very difficult to clean the contacts. Very, very difficult. I'm hoping I'm also not scratching the contacts too much too. It is a really thin sheet of metal, which is the contact point. I'm trying to clean up enough at the top too, where you can see the lettering on the PCB, but it's just so covered up and gunked. Alright. Fold that stuff over. Let's see. It's looking a little bit better. This is the world's dirtiest Nintendo DS game. Probably not anymore, but it's up there. You can see some yellowing on the front where the sticker was torn. Me pulling it out of the DS slot. I can say the back looks a lot better than it did. And my next trick to cleaning inside of these, or I'll probably do a small wipe down with a cotton swab, but the trick is really to get something. I use the back of this prying tool just because it's the perfect width and it fits right in between here, so I can get the corner on here and wipe them down with some isopropyl on a paper towel. But just something that can fit in there, preferably plastic. I know I was just using this steel tweezers, but that's not preferred because the contact points, like I said, you can scratch them, so you want to use something that won't damage them, especially if I'm applying more force. So this is a great tool. I guess something like this would even work. This is also a prying tool, or maybe just like a round nose tweezers, but I don't know about these, or especially these. These are real pointy, so I was just using these to really go horizontally and kind of get it just off the edges, not like I'm scraping down on it with the sharp tip. That would not be good. Gonna flick it off one more time. A little bit came off. I've never seen a DS game this dirty before. Nasty stuff in here. You know, when I return it, I want to ask them, my younger brothers, what it really is, but I'm not really sure. Knowing kids, I really don't know, but they deserve, I deserve to know what this stuff is that I'm picking out of their game cartridge. So this is how I clean in between those little plastic separators. And it is very, very gunked up. And I've already cleaned one of them, but it's just already, wow. Yeah. I'm gonna have to use a couple pieces of paper towel to do this because these are super gunked up. It's already getting super dirty. I think the isopropyl is strong enough to eat away at some of that corrosion. Yeah. All right. The alcohol is loosening it up a little bit too, so some of it is coming off a little easier now too. So I might go back and forth with the tweezers just to get a little bit more off. I feel like I'm cleaning somebody's ear out right now. That's how nasty this is. In fact, my grandfather, he's an ear, nose, and throat surgeon, so I don't know. He could tell me. This is definitely not as difficult as ear, nose, or throat surgery, but it's tedious, I'd assume. And I am getting a little bit of isopropyl on those letters, but it's not wiping any of it off, so I'm being careful not to do that, because those serial numbers, you know, they're a good indicator that the game is legitimate. And looking at this game, it would be kind of hard to tell that it was. Yeah. Really see the green spots. That's mostly the corrosion. So, put that over to the side. I got a little piece right here already. I'm really not sure about a couple of these points, but it's gonna take a little bit of elbow grease too to get those clean. Alright, I said I wasn't gonna do this, but I'm gonna try to go slow on a couple of these ones. Double layered. Get a little bit more protection. And now that some of it's cleaned off, I can kind of say that the corrosion on these is pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I'm not sure that it will read or not. I'm really not sure. It just has so many black spots and just not looking very good. I have my own copy of this game, but I don't really. I want to give this one back to them just because I still have my full collection of the game series. But this is a great game, and I want them to. I want them to play through it. You know, not fill it with toothpaste. But, you know, kids will be kids. I remember when I was younger, I really wanted to know what was inside of a DS game, and I also really wanted to know what was inside of, just like a lot of things in general. Like I've taken apart blenders when I was younger, and that was probably not a very good idea. But I remember one day I just got a flush cutter and cut the top of a DS game off and pried it apart, and lo and behold, there was a little chip inside of it, and that's about it. I couldn't play the game anymore. So it's not very interesting. If this game doesn't work, maybe I'll take it apart, show you guys, but I would really love for this to work so much. Alright, what I'm going to do now is I'm really going to saturate the bottom of it in isopropyl and hope that it'll clean it off a little bit more. I'm going to saturate it. Let's see. How much is saturating? That? Yeah, that's saturating it. Let's see. Really saturate it. The Lego Star Wars series, it's not my favorite out of all the DS games, but I had a lot of good memories with them, so I want to share those with my little brothers. They're not very small either. They're about both close to the double digits right now, and that's when they can really enjoy these games. I mean, there are more new games, you know, like for the 3DS, but that's old now. They don't support the 3DS anymore, or the new 3DS. Nintendo is just going all eggs in the basket with the Switch, and you can't blame them. It's extremely successful. I think it's even, should I say, successful as the DS was. Probably is. That's all I really hear about, but it's a great console. But the DS, though, it was still up there. I think it was probably the king of handhelds for a long time. To me, it's still one of my absolutely favorite consoles. I recently picked up PS Vita 1000, and I got some games for it. And when I was younger, I sold my PS Vita 1000 to GameStop for like $50 with all my games and my memory card, and it was a great console. It never received much support from Sony, and I sold mine to GameStop and traded it in to buy, I think I used it to buy 3DS games, or maybe I used it to buy some other games. I'm thinking maybe new 3DS games, probably. Wasn't a great idea, but I have a Vita back. I paid more than I originally did at retail launch for it, because I'm a dummy, but it's in pretty much new condition, so I'm happy about it. But if you've ever sold some of your favorite games, you know that feeling. So I went through the effort to get one back. Although my favorite handhelds over all time, I'd say definitely the Nintendo DS. The Switch is super awesome, but I'm a big fan of the Game Boy too. Game Boy had a ton of great games. I recently picked up Mortal Kombat for the Game Boy. Speaking of the new movie, Mortal Kombat, it has just as much plot line as the video game does, which is not very much. It's just like the video game. It's a lot of fighting. Or maybe there is plot in it. It just went over my head. I just watched it to see the fight scenes, and I won't spoil any of them. But there are brutalities. It's kind of cool to watch. Okay, yeah, one of these contact points is looking really bad. Really bad. Okay, I'll explain. So, so you can kind of see. Alright, trying to get the light on it. So this one right here, that is very corroded. I'll do my best to clean it off. Let's see. Now I'm doing exactly what I was saying not to do. I'm using the sharp end of my steel tweezers. I'm really gently scraping the heavily corroded spots. Do not do this. Alright. Okay. Sorry if I take the game out of focus for a moment. I'm really doing my best to deep clean those spots where it's heavily corroded. I think I could have either made that work or I could have messed it up more than it was. So I see some copper now, but at what cost? have to admit, it looks better. You can still see some of the brown. Some of these points like that one's really bad. I should maybe edit this video, but my editing skills are very poor, so you might have to just sit through a 30-minute long plus video of a single DS game cartridge cleaning. I know, very exciting. Every time I pull the tweezers off, though, there's a bunch of green on it. So, I know it's getting cleaner. Cleaner doesn't always mean it'll work, though. Oh, I'm really tempted to just like try popping it in now and see if it works. But I don't know. I don't really see much of the white stuff on here anymore, the gunk. It's kind of cleaned off most of that, I think, but don't forget to brush your game cartridge's teeth once a day and then floss in between the contacts. It's the most important part. If it starts to rust and bleed, it's because you're not flossing between the contacts enough. This 91% isopropyl is really strong stuff. I should probably be wearing some rubber gloves right now, because if you work with this stuff for a really long time, the tips of your fingers get super dried out, and it's not very comfortable. It starts to get very irritating. I don't think it's quite ready to test and see if it'll read, but just a quick look. It probably would have been easier for me to just do a before and after photo and then just say it works or it doesn't, but yeah, here's an hour-long video on a DS game cartridge. One of these days, I'll edit a video. Will it be today? Probably not. I'm just moving out of my dormitory, and when I move back in, I think I'll have an apartment, hopefully, and I'll have more of an office space to work in, and when that happens, then maybe I'll start editing videos. Or maybe when I get 15 views on a video, I'll start there. Or maybe I'll have my girlfriend help me, and we'll do a video edit on Nintendo featuring Gibby. Because the name of this channel is Gibby Gamer, but there's still no Gibby. Where is Gibby? Some of you probably don't even know who Gibby is. He's a frog. He's the logo of this channel is a frog on a Game Boy Advance. And yes, he's a real frog. He's very big. He's a Pac-Man. He's 3 years old. He's very big. And he's yellow and orange. He is the sponsor of this channel. I'm just here to clean the games. He can review them. I don't know if he can play them, but he can review them. I can try and maybe get him to play a game, but I don't know if he can really play it and know what he's doing, because he's a frog. Alright. All this work too, and if this doesn't work, that's gonna be a bummer, but not even really for me, it's just like my younger brothers, you know, like, this is such a great game. They probably played it like 3 times and then jammed it into the console. That's alright. Kinda. I'm gonna try with another Q-tip. I think it's about clean. Just about. I'm gonna flare this tip a little bit so that I can get it in between the contact points. Alright. Looks like only a couple spots really need. Really pushing hard on this. Just seeing a little bit coming off, but it's looking a lot cleaner. Looking a little bit green on that, but do it one more time and then I'll pop it into a DS and see if it works. If it doesn't work, you may not even see this video. Does, do a follow-up and see if I can get a sticker on the front of it, sand the top down where the pliers bit it. one of those really satisfying photos. I'll do my best. Although it looks a lot cleaner, like I said, cleaner does not mean it'll always work. I could probably clean up a couple spots over here. I'm going to do that really quick, just before I pop it in. Just one quick, just to get those contact points. I could also just totally cheat, and this was just an idea that I had just now, but I could use the flush cutters, cut the plastic separators. Probably not a good idea. Cut a couple of them, and for the points where it's really corroded, use my soldering iron and you know, put a little glob of solder on there. That would be a interesting video. To be honest, these things could probably just use a little bit of flux. I'm not going to set my hopes too high for this, but let's give it a go. Make sure there's no isopropyl on it. All right. Here's the custom DS featuring Gibby and some Pokemon. There it is. There you go. Now I know it works, so oh, this is Lego Star Wars 2. This is not the complete saga. Still a great game. Okay. It still has the game data too. Okay. Yeah, abort the load. Oh, yep. Settings. Cool. It works. So, probably gonna clean the cartridge off just a little bit more. But it works. So that's how you clean and get the world's dirtiest DS game to work again.